This is a Vivekananda Kendra Kanyakumari recording. All recordings of Vivekananda Kendra are in the public domain. For more information and also to volunteer, please visit www.vkendra.org. My India, the India Eternal by Swami Vivekananda. Read by Abhishek Shinghorai. Chapter 1. My India, the India Eternal.
India's history, culture and ideals. If there is any land on this earth that can lay claim to be the blessed Punya Bhumi, the land where humanity has attained its highest towards gentleness, towards generosity, towards purity, towards calmness, above all, the land of introspection and of spirituality, it is India. Political greatness or military power is never the mission of our race. It never was, and it never will be. But we find that the Indian race never stood for wealth. Although they acquired immense wealth, perhaps more than any other nation ever acquired, yet the nation did not stand for wealth. It was a powerful race for ages, yet we find that that nation never stood for power, never went out of the country to conquer. Quite contained within their own boundaries, they never fought anybody. The Indian nation never stood for imperial glory. Wealth and power then were not the ideals of the race. A glorious destiny. My brethren, back as the days of the Upanishads, we have thrown the challenge to the world. Na prajaya, na dhanena, त्यागे नैके amrit tattva manushu. Not by progeny, not by wealth, but by renunciation alone, immortality is reached. Race after race has taken the challenge up and tried their utmost to solve the world riddle on the plane of desires. They have all failed in the past. The old ones have become extinct under the weight of wickedness and misery, which lust for power and gold brings in its train, and the new ones are tottering to their fall. The question has yet to be decided whether peace will survive or war, whether patience will survive or non-forbearance, whether goodness will survive or wickedness, whether muscle will survive or brain, whether worldliness will survive or spirituality. We have solved our problem ages ago and held on to it through good or evil fortune, and mean to hold on to it till the end of time. Our solution is unworldliness, renunciation. This is the theme of Indian life work, the burden of our eternal songs, the backbone of our existence, the foundation of our being, the raison d'etre of her very existence, the spiritualization of the human race. In this her life course, she has never deviated. Whether the Tatar ruled or the Turk, whether the Mughal ruled or the English. It is unfair to judge woman in the East by the Western standard. In the West, woman is the wife. In the East, she is mother. The Hindus worship the idea of mother, and even the monks are required to touch the earth with their foreheads before their mothers. Chastity is much esteemed. In India, the mother is the center of the family and our highest ideal. She is to us the representative of God, as God is the mother of the universe. It was a female sage who first found the unity of God and laid down this doctrine in one of the first hymns of the Vedas. He is of the Aryan race, who is born through prayer, and he is a non-Aryan who is born through sensuality. So deeply has this been recognized in India that there we even speak of adultery in marriage, except when marriage is consummated in prayer. That is the secret of the race, chastity. There are two great epics in the Sanskrit language, which are very ancient. They embody the manners and customs, the state of society, civilization, etc. of the ancient Indians. The oldest of these epics is called Ramayana, the life of Rama. Rama and Sita are the ideals of the Indian nation. All children, especially girls, worship Sita. The height of a woman's ambition is to be like Sita, the pure, the devoted, the all-suffering. Mahabharata means Great India, or the story of the great descendants of Bharata. This epic is the most popular one in India, and it exercises the same authority in India as Homer's poems did over the Greeks. The internal conflicts between righteousness and filial affection in the mind of the God-fearing, yet feeble, old, blind king Dhritarashtra, the majestic character of the grandsire Bhishma, the noble and virtuous nature of the royal Yudhishthira and of the other four brothers, has as mighty in valor as in devotion and loyalty. The peerless character of Krishna, unsurpassed in human wisdom, and not less brilliant the character of the women, the stately Queen Gandhari, the loving mother Kunti, the ever devoted and all-suffering Draupadi. These and hundreds of other characters of this epic and those of the Ramayana have been the cherished heritage of the whole Hindu world for the last several thousands of years, and form the basis of their thoughts and of their moral and ethical ideas. In fact, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata are the two encyclopedias of the ancient Aryan life and wisdom, portraying an ideal civilization which humanity has yet to aspire after. When you study these characters, you can at once find out how different is the ideal in India from that of the West. The West says, do, show your power by doing. India says, show your power by suffering. The West has solved the problem of how much a man can have. India has solved the problem of how little a man can have. India's contribution to the world, the debt which the world owes to our motherland, is immense. As I look back upon the history of my country, I do not find in the whole world another country which has done quite so much for the improvement of the human mind. Therefore, I have no words of condemnation for my nation. I tell them, you have done well. Only try to do better. We Hindus stand ready to be convinced that yours is the earlier religion, although we had ours some 300 years before yours was even thought of. The same holds good with respect to sciences. India has given to antiquity the earliest scientific physicians, and according to Sir William Hunter, she has even contributed to modern medical science by the discovery of various chemicals and by teaching you how to reform misshapen ears and noses. Even more, it has done in mathematics for algebra, geometry, astronomy, and the triumph of modern science, mixed mathematics, were all invented in India. Just so much as the 10 numerals, the very cornerstone of all present civilization, were discovered in India and are in reality Sanskrit words. In philosophy, we are even now head and shoulders above any other nation, as Schopenhauer, the great German philosopher, has confessed. In music, India gave to the world her system of notation, with the 7 cardinal notes and the diatonic scale. In philology, our Sanskrit language is now universally acknowledged to be the foundation of all European languages. In literature, our epics and poems and dramas rank as high as those of any language. Our Shakuntala was summarized by Germany's greatest poet as heaven and earth united. India has given to the world the fables of Aesop, which were copied by Aesop from an old Sanskrit book. It has given the Arabian Nights, yes, even the story of Cinderella and the beanstalks. In manufacture, India was the first to make cotton and purple dye. It was proficient in all works of jewelry. And the very word sugar, as well as the article itself, is the product of India. Lastly, she has invented the game of chess and cards and the dice. So great, in fact, was the superiority of India in every respect that it drew to her borders the hungry cohorts of Europe, and thereby indirectly brought about the discovery of America. And I challenge anybody to show one single period of her national life when India was lacking in spiritual giants capable of moving the world. But her work is spiritual, and that cannot be done with blasts of war trumpets. And that cannot be done with blasts of war trumpets or the march of cohorts. Her influence has always fallen upon the world like that of the gentle dew, unheard and scarcely marked, yet bringing into bloom the fairest flowers of the earth. Here in this blessed land, the foundation, the backbone, the life center is religion and religion alone. Let others talk of politics, of the glory of acquisition of immense wealth poured in by trade, of the power and spread of commercialism, of the glorious fountain of physical liberty. But these, the Hindu mind does not understand and does not want to understand. Touch him on spirituality, on religion, on God, on the soul, on the infinite, on spiritual freedom, and I assure you, the lowest peasant in India is better informed on these subjects than many a so-called philosopher in other lands. We have yet something to teach to the world. This is the very reason, the raison d'être, that is, the nation has lived on. In spite of hundreds of years of persecution, in spite of nearly 1,000 years of foreign rule and foreign oppression, this nation still lives. The raison d'être is, it still holds to God, to the treasure house of religion and spirituality. I have seen a little of the world, traveling among the races of the East and the West, and everywhere I find among nations one great ideal which forms the backbone, so to speak, of that race. With some, it is politics. With others, it is social culture. Others, again, may have intellectual culture and so on for their national background. But this, our motherland, has religion and religion alone for its basis, for its backbone, for the bedrock upon which the whole building of its life has been based. See Rome. Rome's mission was imperial power, expansion. And so soon as that was touched, Rome fell to pieces, passed out. The mission of Greece was intellect. As soon as that was touched, why? Greece passed out. So in modern times, Spain and all these modern countries, each nation has a mission for the world. So long as that mission is not hurt, the nation lives, despite every difficulty. But as soon as its mission is destroyed, the nation collapses. Now, that vitality of India has not been touched yet. They have not given up that, and it is still strong, in spite of all their superstitions. Hideous superstitions are there, most revolting some of them. Never mind, the national life current is still there, the mission of the race. God and God alone. She clings unto that like grim death. Still, there is hope there. The Hindu man drinks religiously, sleeps religiously, walks religiously, marries religiously, walks religiously, marries religiously, robs religiously. That shows that the vitality of the race, the mission of the race, is religion. And because that has not been touched, therefore that race lives. Every other problem in life must be subordinated to that one principal theme, that is religion. That is also the law of harmony in music. There may be a nation whose theme of life is political supremacy. Religion and everything else must become subordinate to that one great theme of its life. But here is another nation whose great theme of life is spirituality and renunciation, whose one watchword is that this world is all vanity and a delusion of 3 days. The eternal India. India I loved before I came away. Now the very dust of India has become holy to me. The very air is now to me holy. It is now the Holy Land, the place of pilgrimage, the Tirtha. We all hear so much about the degradation of India. There was a time when I also believed in it. But today, standing on the vantage ground of experience, with eyes cleared of obstructive predispositions and above all, of the highly colored picture of other countries toned down to their proper shade and light by actual contact, I confess, in all humility, that I was wrong. Thou blessed land of the Aryas, thou wasn't never degraded. Scepters have been broken and thrown away. The ball of power has passed from one hand to hand. But in India, scepters have been broken and thrown away. The ball of power has passed from hand to hand. But in India, courts and kings always touched only a few. The vast mass of the people, from the highest to the lowest, has been left to pursue its own inevitable course. The current of national life flowing at times slow and half-conscious, at others strong and awakened. I stand in awe before the unbroken procession of scores of shining centuries, with here and there a dim link in the chain, only to flare up with added brilliance in the next. And there she is walking, with her own majestic steps, my motherland, to fulfill her glorious destiny, which no power on earth or in heaven can check. The regeneration of man the brute into man the God. This national ship has been ferrying millions and millions of souls across the waters of life. But today, perhaps through your own fault, this boat has become a little damaged, has sprung a leak. And would you therefore curse it? Is it fit that you stand up and pronounce malediction upon it? One that has done more work than any other thing in the world. If there are holes in this national ship, this society of ours, we are its children. Let us go and stop the holes. Let us gladly do it with our heart's blood. And if we cannot, then let us die. We will make a plug of our brains and put them into the ship, but condemn it never. Say not one harsh word against this society. I love it for its past greatness. I love you all because you are the children of God, and because you are the children of the glorious forefathers. How then can I curse you? Never. All blessings be upon you. I have come to you, my children, to tell you all my plans. If you hear them, I am ready to work with you. But if you will not listen to them, and even kick me out of India, I will come back and tell you that we are all sinking. I have come now to sit in your midst, and if we are to sink, let us all sink together, but never let curses rise to our lips. O India, forget not that the ideal of thy womanhood is Sita, Savitri, Damayanti. Forget not that the God thou worshippest, the great ascetic of ascetics, the all-renouncing Shankara, the Lord of Uma. Forget not that thy marriage, thy wealth, thy life are not for sense pleasure, are not for thy individual personal happiness. Forget not that thou art born as a sacrifice to the mother's altar. Forget not that thy social order is but the reflex of the infinite universal motherhood. Forget not that the lower classes, the ignorant, the poor, the illiterate, the cobbler, the sweeper are thy flesh and blood, thy brothers. Thou brave one, be bold, take courage, be proud that thou art an Indian, and proudly proclaim, I am an Indian. Every Indian is my brother. Say, the ignorant Indian, the poor and destitute Indian, the Brahmin Indian, the Pariah Indian is my brother. Thou too, clad with but a rag round thy loins, proudly proclaim at the top of thy voice, the Indian is my brother, the Indian is my life. India's gods and goddesses are my God. India's society is the cradle of my infancy, the pleasure garden of my youth, the sacred heaven, the Varanasi of my old age. Say, brother, the soil of India is my highest heaven. The good of India is my good. And repeat and pray day and night. O thou Lord of Gauri, O thou Mother of the universe, vouchsafe manliness unto me. O thou Mother of strength, take away my weakness, take away my unmanliness, and make me a man.
End of Chapter 1. My India, the India Eternal by Swami Vivekananda. This is a Vivekananda Kendra Kanyakumari recording. All recordings of Vivekananda Kendra are in the public domain. For more information and also to volunteer, please visit www.vkendra.org.